It's the MLS offseason, and you know what that means. Crippling depression. At least until the next season kicks off. Ugh, this sucks. I mean, this is like my whole identity. Like, what am I supposed to watch now? What am I gonna do? I guess the only thing I can do is start speculating about the future. Some of you might remember a few years ago when I made a video, 5 things I need from MLS in the next 5 years. And I gotta say, so far, so good. I got the Inter Miami pink jersey. I got the proper pregame show. MLS has won the Champions League. Okay, Chicago's probably never gonna get a stadium, but NYCFC are working on one, and academies are getting better every year. Admittedly, some of my videos don't age well, but this one has aged like fine wine. And I think it's time to make some more wine, because instead of 5 things I need from MLS, I'm just straight up looking into the future on this one. It's 5 predictions for MLS in the next 5 years. Prediction 1, and I don't gotta look 5 years into the future on this one. I'm looking at next season, because I'm calling it right now. Inter Miami will be MLS Cup champs in 2024. Now let me just clarify something first, because I am giving this team a 0.00% chance of winning the Supporter Shield. Because Messi, Busquets, Jordi Alba, Suarez, there is no way these guys play every game together. I mean, they're old. They need their nap time. And plus, with Copa America and other tournaments, there's going to be some regular season games that just have to be sacrificed. And if you look at the rest of Miami's roster and their depth, well, judging on how last season went, yeah, it's not exactly the best in MLS. So no, over the course of 34 games, they will not be the best team in MLS. But in a 6 or 7 game postseason tournament, yeah, it doesn't matter what seed they are. They could be the 4th seed, 5th, 6th, 7th in the Eastern Conference. As long as they're in the dance, I am picking them to win it in the end. I mean, just look at the Leagues Cup. Yeah, they had some close calls. They had a couple games go to the PK shootout. But do you remember how unstoppable Messi was? And now you add in his partner in crime, Sir Chomps-a-Lot? Like, I'm sorry, but this is so predictable. What defense is going to be able to stop this train? And everyone's going to be mad about it. Except for Don Garber, he's going to be thrilled. And then, they're all going to retire. Or return to Spain. But they're not even going to attempt to run it back. They're just going to be like, yeah, that was fun, but it's time for a nap now. And then Inter Miami's going to suck again. And then they're going to be good because they broke all the transfer rules again. It's just the circle of life. Prediction number 2. MLS Season Pass prices will increase. Because everyone is going to be buying it. Yeah, unfortunate for us consumers, but ultimately good for the league, because this won't be a panic response because they're not making enough money, but rather a natural response to the influx of viewers. Obviously, Messi's bringing in a lot of exposure. That's a good thing. World Cup 2026 is going to make a lot of new soccer fans in this country. That's a good thing. But also, we just got to admit it, the world is evolving. Less and less households are keeping cable. I don't have the exact up-to-date stats, but I do know it went from like 47% of households had cable in 2021, and it went down to 42% in 2022. Imagine what that number is going to look like in 5 years. And everyone that was butthurt about games being behind a paywall on a streaming platform, even though like 6 games a week were free, but for some reason, the haters never want to mention that, eventually, everyone's going to cave. Oh, what's this? People are canceling their season pass accounts in the off season and posting it on Twitter because they're mad about the league not increasing the spending enough and mad about the news of the US Open Cup. Yeah, that's not going to last long. Okay, I'm not thrilled about either of those updates with the league either, but in the long run, MLS ain't gonna suffer because the vast majority of people will be coming back because the product is continuing to improve year after year. And when all the other leagues choose to go primarily to streaming, don't you think the company with the most amount of money, you know, the one that's named after a fruit, might be a good landing spot? Is everyone gonna choose MLS? No, maybe not, but they will be choosing the other leagues that end up on Apple, and all that shared money will go to MLS. Don't be surprised to see MLS Season Pass turn into Apple Soccer Season Pass, or maybe just Apple Sports Season Pass. Everything's gonna work as a bundle. So all this talk about, oh, MLS is so stupid, they're killing its product by not putting the games on TV. Yeah, that mentality ain't gonna last long, because this is just the direction that sports and TV is going in general. I'll say it again, MLS is just ahead of its time on this one, because everything is heading towards streaming. So $99 for the entire MLS season, enjoy it now, because that price is gonna be going up. Well, that's weird. Why did I change my shirt? Oh, that's right. It's because the original prediction number 3 already fucking happened. Prediction number 3. Let's talk about the US Open Cup, because we will start to see MLS teams opting out of this tournament. Okay, so we got to come up with a new prediction 3. All right, let's see. Oh, I got it. MLS will lean heavily into sports betting for new content. Anyone else notice just how many ads there are now for sports gambling? This isn't a coincidence, and it's also not just a hot fad that's going to vanish anytime soon. Ever since the Supreme Court overturned the federal ban on gambling on sports a few years ago, we've seen the perception of sports betting change dramatically. What used to be seen as a taboo topic to most has just turned into a reality that everyone knows exists and that most accept. And sports betting is a big business. Like, people can win a lot of money. And unlike roulette or slots, people feel like they have more control because they really understand the game, and they definitely know better than the experts. But in the end, the betting companies always manage to find a way to come out on top. Now that more and more people are getting into it and less people are actually getting offended by it, MLS is going to want to get in on that. Actually, we've already started to see some snippets of that already, with MLS posting game lines on their website. But I think it's going to go beyond that. I think we'll see dedicated programming to betting on MLS Season Pass. We'll probably even be able to make live bets on Season Pass. Maybe even during the game, there'll be like some kind of feature you can turn on or off about wanting to place wagers. I don't know. I'm just saying, MLS has no problem being the guinea pig to a lot of things, and I would not be surprised if they're the first league to implement something like this. I mean, I've bet on MLS before, so I feel like I'm ahead of the game already. And yes, there are people out there who think gambling is evil, and that is going to be a challenge for MLS, because while the perception of sports betting is changing, we've all still heard stories of people, losing their life savings because of gambling addictions. So it's going to be a balancing act for sure for MLS between producing content, promoting betting, and the negative press they receive from people who think gambling is wrong. Prediction number 4, and this is the one that I really hope does not come true. I hate even saying this out loud, but in the next 5 years, we will see an owner attempt to relocate his team. Yeah, I know, Save the Crew was a PR nightmare for Garber and MLS. Why would they want to go through this again? Well, because money talks. And eventually, there will come a time when it seems like the grass is greener on the other side, aka the other major city that doesn't have a team yet. Remember how it was so obvious that Anthony Precourt wasn't even attempting to make it work in Columbus? I mean, we're talking about not even keeping up with the maintenance with the stadium. Well, yeah. Now, okay, neglect on the upkeep of a stadium, that's hardly a reason to suggest that the team is going to relocate. However, we're talking about an owner who has already relocated one of his teams before in the past, talking about the St. Louis Rams to Los Angeles. And it's very clear that Stan Kroenke doesn't exactly put the Rapids at the top of his priority list. And isn't it always the same storyline with the Colorado Rapids? It's always like, God, these guys just have no ambition. Like, when is it going to change? Maybe Colorado has nothing to worry about it. maybe I should be worried, because maybe that team that's going to attempt to relocate is the Chicago Fire.
By the way, yeah, I'm being serious. I am very fucking nervous. This is gonna happen with my Chicago Fire.
But it's Chicago! Pfft, come on, MLS wouldn't really leave the third largest market in the country, would they? But wait, let me ask. Away fans, when you visited Chicago, how much Chicago Fire merchandise did you see floating around? How many people did you hear talking about the Fire? Hell, did you see one single store in O'Hare Airport selling a Chicago Fire t-shirt? And speaking of low ambitions, does it get any lower than the Chicago Fire? I mean, it's like, no playoffs? No problem. Let's run it back with the same guys. I mean, it is so clear at this point that the owner, Joe Mansueto, doesn't actually care about winning. He cares about selling guys to make money, which would be fine if they at least won some of the time. And even though the Fire aren't making money, the evaluations for every MLS team seem to keep rising every year, so eventually he'll either sell the team for a profit or maybe say, you know what? Las Vegas seems like a fun time. Let's pack up our shit and move over there. Oh, you don't want us to move? Well, maybe you should have supported us more. Maybe you should have came to the games. I mean, look how empty these stands are. And to that I'll say, fuck off. Maybe you guys shouldn't have been so blatant about not caring. I mean, your last playoff win was 2009. I know most of that was under the old ownership of Andrew Hoffman, and don't get me wrong, he sucks still, but it's your team now, Joe. I mean, that many years of suckage and not attempting to grow and get better, yeah, that's gonna drive away a lot of fans. Now notice how I worded that prediction. I said an owner will attempt to relocate his team, because I could only hope that whichever fan base it ends up being screwed, whether it's Colorado or Chicago or someone else, I could just only hope and pray that that fan base puts up the same effort that the Save the Crew movement did a few years ago. Because I am a firm believer that every situation can be fixed in this league with an owner that actually gives a shit. And now we end on a positive note, because prediction number 5 is that in 5 years, MLS will be the second best league in the Western Hemisphere. Okay, I'm not saying it's gonna eclipse the top 5. Like, calm down, okay? But it will officially be above Liga MX now, without a shadow of a doubt. Because right now, I still think Liga MX gets the slight edge. But give it a few more CONCACAF titles, a few more Leagues Cups, then we won't be able to deny it any longer. MLS will be better. And then they'll be better than the Categoria Primera A in Colombia, then they'll be better than the Primera División in Argentina, and then they'll still be behind the Campeonato Brasileiro in Brazil, because, have you watched that league? They're pretty good. But MLS will be close behind. How can I say that MLS will be better than the Argentine League and every other league in South America when those teams never play each other? Well, they will soon. Yeah, call this prediction 6 if you want, because I believe MLS teams will in fact start playing in Copa Libertadores. And in 5 years, I'm not saying now, but in 5 years, yeah, MLS will be doing all right. I mean, with the growth of this league and the transition from retirement league to springboard to Europe, there is a reason why a lot of South American players are choosing to play here rather than stay at home. Because MLS has got a formula, and it's kind of working. I know I brought him up a lot in this video, but I gotta mention him one more time. Messi. Yeah, he's doing a lot more than just bringing in the dollar bills for Apple TV. He's also provided MLS with immeasurable amounts of exposure. And you know what? More and more of these young players are gonna be looking at MLS and saying, hey, I can make this work. MLS, second best league in the Western Hemisphere. Call me crazy, but it's definitely happening. All right, those are my 5 predictions for MLS for the next 5 years. How'd I do? How many of these predictions do you think I'm gonna get right? And also, it's your turn now. Let me know what your predictions are for the next 5 years. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.